Whether you're conquering professional exams or personal milestones, we welcome you to Beyond Clean's Confidence Certification, the 52-week test prep podcast series. With expert insights, actionable tips, and engaging discussions, we'll break down the toughest concepts in sterile processing and build your confidence every step of the way. Join host Sarah B. Cruz as she embarks on a mission to help you not just prep for tests, but craft your success story. And now your host, Sarah B. Cruz.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to Confidence Certification, a 52-week test prep podcast series to equip you to take your sterile processing career to the next level. I'm your host, Sarah B. Cruz, and on this episode, we will be discussing the differences between motivation and momentum and how we can use the two together to really sink into our study goals and achieve our test with confidence. Hello, sterile processing, central sterile, medical device reprocessing technicians, and everything else in between. And welcome. I am recording these episodes just after the HSPA annual conference in Vegas. And oh man, I had such an awesome time. Even with all of the walking back and forth, just hearing the different voices from the speakers to the attendees alike, just coming together to really give our industry a pulse is just so inspiring, intriguing, and dare I say, motivating. And that's actually where I want to discuss more on today's episode. No, not conferences, but there are a lot out there. There's obviously, the big annual conference hosted by the HSPA. There's local chapter conferences, and there's even conferences right in Dallas, Texas. Pretty much any state that you can think of is going to have a conference in some capacity. And don't forget about Beyond Clean's virtual conferences. You can literally enjoy a conference in the comfort of your home while you're driving. Please pay attention to the road, or even if you're listening to it at work. You don't have to be certified in order to attend continuing education conferences, to network and mingle in your professional space. Don't worry, you can come hang out with us. We'll like you regardless, and you'll get certified eventually. It'll be fine. Yeah. But that's not what we're talking about. What I'm talking about now is motivation. Incorporating motivation and momentum in our study habits is going to be key, because so often we wait for inspiration to motivate us. From a motivational quote to a nice paycheck to a rousing keynote speaker, motivation presents itself in multiple ways. But the downside of motivation is that it is not forever present. Once the paycheck is spent, the quote forgotten, and the keynote speaker heads home, motivation usually goes with them. All we can really do is hope that during that time you were feeling motivated, you were able to find some way to hold on to it by incorporating it and turning it into momentum. Hopefully you're remembering the quote. Hopefully you're hearing the motivational speaker. But if you haven't harnessed a way to apply it to your dream or the goal you're trying to reach, there's genuinely no impact in our future accomplishments. So, while I like to say that hope is not a strategy and a dream without a goal is not a wish, we do have a special equation that we can look at as we try to bring motivation and momentum together. So, the equation is motivation plus action equals momentum. Now, feel free to check out my article, Stop Waiting for Momentum, in Ultra Clean Systems News Splash online forum. But I will be touching on all of these points about how we can include action that we can take that will empower our ambitions with momentum right after a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. It's time for our mid-episode confidence boost, where we focus on key sterile processing test concepts. Now, there's no guarantee these concepts will be on the test that you take, but they are key concepts to the workplace and are discussed in the literature. Today, we'll cover temperature, time, and pressure relationships. When learning about dynamic air removal and gravity displacement, saturated steam under pressure, time, and temperature are the three significant parameters. When we talk about temperature, the most common steam sterilizing temperatures are 121 degrees Celsius or 250 degrees Fahrenheit and 132 degrees Celsius, 270 degrees Fahrenheit. Specific temperatures must be reached to ensure microbicidal activity. Now, pressure serves as a means to obtain the high temperatures necessary for sterilization. These temperatures must be maintained for a minimal time to kill microorganisms. And then finally, time. Time helps us recognize the minimum exposure period for sterilization of our wrapped healthcare supplies. All of the required parameters and essentially your sterilizer settings can be found in the product's IFUs and the type, size, and PSI of the autoclaves. That's going to wrap this week's mid-session confidence boost. Good luck. Hey everyone, and welcome back. As always, a big thank you to our sponsor. We were just discussing the power of momentum in our study habits and why it is so much more valuable than the more popularly known motivation. Okay, so what is the difference? Motivation is not a physical response to the desires and intentions we have for our sterile processing test goals, right? Hope, motivation, inspiration. These are all external validations. And external validations are not generated from within ourselves. That's why they are usually short-lived. The external validation we get from the quotes, the end goals, the speakers is because they give us what we have not discovered about ourselves. They give that feeling of accomplishment. They remind us of our greatness, and they even help us with that long overdue pat on the back. This in itself is the validation we are looking for. That is the only time motivation contributes to our success. So if we want to hold on to that initial jump, that hoorah that we get from motivation, we have to couple it with the action that we're going to take towards our outcomes. Now, in order to have success in our outcomes, we have to know what success is being defined by, right? Like in this particular podcast, success could be defined as passing our certification test, right? So what action do we need to take with the motivation that we have at hand to reach that success? Let's talk a little bit about that action, because motivation is merely a byproduct of the action we take while we move towards our goal, right? No one said that an action would immediately take us to that goal, but the action in itself builds confidence, right? So you have the motivation, you go and you try that envelope fold and you're good at it. Wow. That feels good. That's building confidence. So you go and you do it again. Wow, my envelope fold is even better this time. I don't even need to use tape to keep it shut. Yes, so that action is building confidence, and confidence is powerful and offered through many different avenues. This is why the motivational quotes and the speakers are so impactful. They're literally giving out short-lived free confidence to those who are reading or listening to them. So we have to take what they're saying, that free, short-lived confidence, and put it with action so that we can make the confidence in ourselves. It becomes our confidence when we put our actions to it, because actions cement our study intentions and they will help us build our study confidence. And confidence is one of those internal motivators we can use to cultivate anything we want through our own efforts. Confidence in ourselves is vital to the longevity necessary to achieve goals. And the only way to build this overwhelmingly valuable internal resource is to do the things that demonstrate why we should be confident in the first place. Therefore, we need to get in action, even if we're a little nervous, even if we're a little unsure, and definitely if we're not feeling so confident. Similarly to how we feel when we start a work shift, action starts slow, right? You clock in and maybe it takes you 20 minutes to get to the floor, or you put your bouffant on a little bit slower, but it builds up speed as the shift moves on. Yeah. That's because we're accumulating small actions. Therefore, we are supporting momentum. Because momentum, unlike classic motivation, that's that internal motivator, right? So we're taking external motivation, coupling it with action, and we're building internal momentum. Yeah. It's sort of like, have you ever tried to slow your car down before a stop sign that you didn't see right away? You do the mom arm and clutch the seat next to you, even though nobody's in it, right? But it takes a little bit of extra work. It's like you come, and you just kind of lean up in your seat. Momentum is like that. So we're gaining this momentum by completing study tasks and our objectives, and we're building confidence in our abilities, and we're learning that we can do difficult things to achieve what we want. Therefore, building that internal mindset and the references we need to create our own motivation, our own confidence, and our own beliefs in ourselves. This is why momentum is sustainable. Notice how I didn't state that every action will lead directly to our success. Not every action will give us exactly what we started out to achieve. And yet momentum will remain forever, that beating drum and that reminder that we are on course to success. I've personally been described as the beating drum when I'm in work groups, just like boom, 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 boom. I'm the one behind the drum saying, yeah, everybody, we can do this. Let's stay on course and let's keep pushing onwards. So for your homework, I want you to fill out your own confidence equation. All right. So go ahead and put motivation plus action equals momentum. And then you're going to list your motivation underneath motivation. What are your hopes, dreams, inspirations, end goals, or outcomes? And then what action, physical, mental, emotional, do you need to do that will equal the momentum that you need to have to build more confidence? Hopes and dreams are beautiful things, everyone. All right. Let's let them inspire and motivate us. And then let's add an action to create the momentum necessary to stay focused and confident in our goals. Let's stop using motivation as the reason why we are or aren't successful and shift our focus to momentum, that true internal motivator, so that our actions will create the necessary movements that build confidence and achieve those test outcomes we deserve. That's going to be it for today's episode, folks. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. For more sterile processing education and resources, make sure to visit beyondclean.net or follow Beyond Clean on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to check out over 1,000 SPD related videos at youtube.com/beyondclean. If you have any questions or comments for the show, you can reach out to info@beyondclean.net. Finally, make sure to download the Beyond Clean mobile app on the Apple and Android app stores so that you don't miss a future episode of any of the other awesome Beyond Clean podcasts. My name's Sarah B. Cruz, and you've been listening to Confidence Certification. Until next time, keep fighting dirty and pass that test with confidence.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast series are of Sarah B. Cruz only and do not represent the companies she works for or collaborates with.